So today I'm going against the grain and I'm talking about making smart investments when it comes to new gear instead of just following the hype train and buying stuff that you may or may not need. I think it's really important to do that so that you're not wasting money, buying a quote unquote game changer product only to find out that it's just going to sit on a shelf, collect dust, and not give you a return on that investment. If you're new to my channel, my name's Evan. I'm a freelance videographer based out of Arizona. And honestly, the point of my channel is just to simply share my experiences, day-to-day, behind the scenes type content, as well as any sort of insider knowledge that has helped me over the years grow as a business owner and a creator. One of the things that I do to make sure I'm buying what I need, not just what I want, is I make notes. So I've got a little note on my phone, and anytime I feel like I need a product or I know that a product is going to enhance the quality of my work, I jot that down. And if it's an immediate need, of course, go buy it, right? If your tripod breaks on you, go get a better tripod. But if you just feel like on this shoot, man, it would have been great if I had X, Y, or Z, write that down. And maybe a couple shoots later, you go, man, that same product would have been good on this one. Write it down. And so I've noticed that, if you do this, when it comes time to actually invest and purchase that piece of equipment, you're going to be confident because you have examples of all of the times it would have been useful. Let's give an example. I recently picked up a new product because I referenced my notes and I noticed that, that's a product that I absolutely could have used several times. There have been shoots this year where my second camera operator, I've asked them to bring their lights because I only have one powerful light. It's a 300 watt, and I needed to get a 150 or a 200 or a 300 or a 500. I needed those on set, so I'd have to ask somebody to bring it or I'd have to rent it. There's been other scenarios where my favorite light currently, which is the Nanlite Forza 300B Mark II, it's the one that I use in all of my interviews, is awesome but cumbersome because you have a separate ballast controller and then you have the light and then you have two cables, right? One for power and then one to connect the ballast to the light itself. And it's a little bit cumbersome in that more mobile, nimble shoots, I just don't have a ton of time. And setting up that light, that Nanlite, is chewing up the little bit of time that I do have. So I really did want something that was a little bit more compact all in one, but I also wanted something that was powerful so I don't always feel the need to borrow, rent, ask somebody to bring their light along. And so I started to look for a product to solve both of those needs. The first place I started were the companies that I already own lighting products from, which is Aperture and Nanlite. I have a bunch of Aperture LS60Xs and just some other various low power lights. And then from Nanlite, I have that Forza 300. So I like both companies and I started there. And from the Nanlite side of things, I was attracted to their FC500. I ended up not buying that light for one main reason. But I'll show you the light that I did get. So it's right here on just a rolling stand. I'll bring it over. This is the zhiyun Mollis B500, which is a bicolor COB light. And the reason that I went with this as opposed to the FC500 is primarily because it has an accessory that I really like the idea of. So let's start with kind of the comparisons. Both of those lights are a plastic body build. Both lights are bicolor. Both lights are 500 watt. Both lights have a good app. But when I was comparing the lights, the one thing I was concerned about was controlling the light when it's out of reach and when I don't want to use the app. I'm not an app guy. I don't really like using apps if I can avoid it. I much prefer physical controls. And so the one issue I had with the FC500 is that if it's out of arm's length away and I don't want to go grab a stepladder or chew up any more time, then the app is really the only solution that I have. Whereas with the Mollis B500, they have an accessory that plugs into a USB-C port here on the side, and it's a little controller. I think it's called the K1. And this gives you full control over the light. So I can change the color temperature, I can change the power output, I can even access all of the lighting effects if I really wanted to, which is not something that I usually will do. And that can hang on the light stand where I can reach it, and the light can still be, 8 feet, 9 feet, whatever, up in the air. And I don't need to actually physically, mess with the buttons on the light itself, right? So that controller, I think, is going to be such a great value. Anyways, that ticked all the boxes and then some. I'm really happy with picking that up, and I'll show that in some future behind the scenes videos. I've got some shoots coming up where I'll choose to use the B500 to really get to know the product. When you're ready to make a purchase, reference your notes and you'll know that you're making the right decision versus basing it off of something that you're hoping works. When it comes to return on investments, there's kind of two camps to look at. You've got the financial section, which is I can buy this product, rent it out, or invoice the client for it every time I use it, and that's going to recoup my money and hopefully make me money. Then there's the other section, which is increasing your quality. Maybe it's your quality of life. Maybe it's the quality of that final video. Maybe you get the return with saving time. And that's where this next product comes into play for me, which was a set of flags. Now, I have several examples this year of moments where a flag would have been nice, but it wasn't even a big enough headache for me to add it in my notes. Like, I just didn't feel the need to add it. Until a few months ago, I was doing interviews in a hotel conference room for some big event, and my PA, shout out to Jay, my PA for that shoot was trying to help me flag off a light that we could not control, so we couldn't turn it off. And so Jay goes, "Hey, I'll just go to the van, I'll grab your flag set." I said, "Jay, I don't own a flag set. I've never really felt the need for one." And he kind of teased me, he hurt my pride, and I started to look into a flag set, like, oh, maybe I do need this. So fast forward like a week, and I give David, Cranky Cameraman here on YouTube, I gave him a call. I said, "David, I'm looking into Modern Studio, their flag sets. I'm looking into Matthews, Road Rags Mark II. I'm looking into, Westcott. Who would you say is going to be like a good investment for flags?" And he said that he actually uses from Impact their PortaFrames, and super affordable. It's like $180. It includes 5 frames, which is more than anybody else was including in like a kit. And it includes like a black fabric, diffusion fabric, some mesh material. And so he said he's been using it for a few years, really likes it.
Yeah, Evan, just show you how little space the flags take up in the van. I just made this little slot for them. And both sides ride together, and then my 2 big, newer 5-in-1s just sit above it.
But how does that really play into the return on investment? It's time. We wasted maybe 10 to 15 minutes trying to solve this. And had I just had a flag kit, we could have hoisted up a flag and been done with it. And it's not the only example, it's just one of the more recent and better examples that I have of why that product would have saved me time. And to me, that's a huge return, especially when I'm doing more travel or more, I gotta be quick on my feet type gigs. Having access to things that they're meant to solve that problem is the right move versus what I did. I mean, on that shoot, genuinely, I put one of my camera cases upside down on a light stand, and we just hoisted that up and pushed it up against the light. So anyways, ROI, think about it. Will it get you more clients? Can it make you more money? Or is it just going to increase the quality in whatever category that is? 2 quick bonus tips is, number 1, I like to buy used. That also helps with ROI if you're not spending as much on that product or on that accessory. then you don't have to feel like you need to recoup as much money. So that's number one. Number two, if you are looking into an expensive product, whether it's a light or a camera or a lens, renting it and just vetting that that is going to be a good product for you and that you enjoy using it and you feel like you're going to continue to use it is a great way to be confident in your actual purchase. Most purchases are like a short-term, I just need it. And I've got a great example for this, Sandbags. When I started to use lights on stands or boom out a microphone on a stand or whatever it is, I knew that I needed, for safety reasons, to weigh down the stand so that the wind doesn't knock them over, somebody doesn't bump into a stand, and because it's so top heavy, it just topples over, something breaks, someone gets injured, I get sued. So sandbags are kind of like that necessary purchase. Maybe it's not the most exciting purchase, but it's necessary. So I ended up buying on Amazon empty sandbags, and I got them to weigh a whopping 9 pounds. And that's not a lot, but I didn't know that. And so I'd have to use like 3 or 4 sandbags per stand just to feel confident that it's going to hold everything down. Not to mention that I filled these suckers with sand and didn't really seal it off. So what happens? Every time you set these sandbags down, they plume with dust, and it was not good. And I quickly replaced them with the same thing. Only this time I wrapped them in plastic and tape, and I got them to weigh 18 pounds. So now I'm only using 2 per stand instead of the 4. And that wasn't good either. So now I've invested not 1 time, not 2 times, but now I have to buy the real deal. I've been using these Amazon fill up with your own dirt sandbags for years, knowing it's not the right tool for the job. But I didn't want to buy what I thought, a super expensive, filled with steel shot sandbag. I knew I eventually wanted that, but I just didn't do it because it's like, I don't want to spend 400, 600, whatever it is on sandbags. That's not fun. Well, anyways, I made the decision this year that I was finally going to do it. And I have my own reasons for it, but really I was tired of putting so many sandbags, carrying so many sandbags for just a few stands. I want 1 sandbag per stand, call it a day. And so I started to do research, and I found that all the websites that cater to video and photo professionals, I felt like the price didn't align with what it should. And I could be wrong, but when it's $45 to $55 for a 25-pound bag filled with sand, I just felt like that's what I already have. It weighs a little bit more than what I have, but it's what I already have. I don't want to spend that. When it's steel shot, which I think is the superior weight that you should go for instead of sand or dirt or rock, the price just went to like $90, $115 in some places. And I thought, man, if I need 6 or 8 sandbags, I'm not spending $600 to $800. To me, that is insane. And I could be alone. I don't want to die on that hill, but I felt like it was insane. So what I ended up doing was more research, and now I'm looking for sandbags for gyms. I'm looking for sandbags for construction. I'm looking for anybody like who's not in the video or photo industry. Maybe you're not charging the same prices. And I found a website called leadwake.com, and they make really high quality sandbags, and I believe it's for wakeboarding and water sports, right? So I was like, this is kind of a too good to be true, but let me do some research. I called the company and I got the owner. Turns out it's not his main gig. He's a firefighter out in California. And I said, hey, this is my use case. Would your sandbags potentially work? And he said, yeah, there's some big Hollywood studios that buy our sandbags, and we've got people all over the nation who buy it for video use. You know, but the product was obviously made for this other use case. I was like, that's great. So I ended up buying with my own money. I bought a couple 25-pound bags, which are going to be great because I can just set those on my light stands when I'm just using my normal lighting. I bought some 35-pound sandbags so that when I add modifiers or maybe the weight is a little bit more offset from the base, that I can add those. Then I also got a 10-pound bag as well as a 5-pound bag, so that if I need a little bit more weight, I could add it. But also that 5-pounder is really great to be a counterweight when you are booming a microphone a few feet off of the stand. So instead of the stand kind of naturally wanting to tilt to the weight that's, you know, a couple feet out, I can add the 5-pound bag on the other side of that boom pole and just counterweight it, bring that weight back to the center. And I think like this is just such a cool, versatile kit, and I didn't have to spend an insane amount. But really, when you think about the subject, which is long-term, investing in long-term, I had to repurchase the same type of product multiple times and deal with all the frustrations along the way until I finally had the right product for me. So anyway, shout out to them for making a great product at a great price. And again, not sponsored, I bought the product on my own, but that's a great example. So look for things that are gonna last you a long time so that you're not wasting money on all the other steps that it takes you to get to that quality product. So the last one for this video is impulsive buys. Go for it. They're not the worst thing in the world, right? You are allowed to say, ooh, look, shiny object, I want it, buy it. In fact, this whole video, you've been listening to the DJI Mic Mini. Again, not a sponsorship. I received an email on a Monday. I woke up, got ready for the day, looked in my emails. Sitting on top of the pile was a DJI newsletter. Look, our new product. I clicked on that email thinking it was just gonna be like a drone or something that I don't personally need right now. Instead, it was like, look at the DJI Mic Mini. There's no headphone jack, no internal recording, not 32-bit float, blah, 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 blah. Like all these things that other people might go, gross, I don't want that microphone. But I was like, wait, it's super tiny and it works with my cameras if you buy the little receiver. And it also works with the DJI Pocket 3, which I really enjoy using that camera for a variety of personal things, as well as every now and then it'll find its way into a professional set. And so that was a no-brainer. I was like, that's so cool. I don't need all the features that it's lacking, and I do need all the features that it offers. And so I bought it. It was what, like 60 bucks plus a little bit more for the receiver unit. I didn't buy like the recharging case and, you know, multiple microphones or whatever. I just bought receiver, microphone. And I think it sounds decent. Again, you're listening to it right now. It's on the other side of this magnet, on the inside of my shirt. And I think it sounds good. I think it's gonna add some value to my personal stuff as well as videos like this. And I couldn't be happier, right? So that was an impulsive buy. So again, I'm not advocating that everything has to be super crazy researched. Just look at it and go, I like it, and you buy it, right? That's allowed too, but just don't do that for everything, okay? So anyways, that's it. Sorry, super long video, very ranty. I'm still trying to get comfortable on camera, talking about this stuff. It's not in my wheelhouse right now. I'm used to being behind the camera and directing and telling people what to say. If you found this useful, please like, comment, share, subscribe, all the things that the internet overlords want us to do. And then I will see you in the next video. See ya.